Well, welcome again, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get things started here. We know you're very busy and do appreciate your time, so I want to make the most of it today. Please feel free as we kind of go through this to post questions in the Q&A box. We will be getting to those at the end, but we'll get through a little bit of housekeeping here real quick. Pretty quick and easy. As far as what we're doing, we'll do some intros. I'll explain, a little bit about my background, a little bit about Will's, explaining why we exist. And then beyond that, what we'll be doing is really diving into the tech, showing you guys a number of ways that we're serving partners who maybe are experiencing some of the same, hardships, struggles, or opportunities in the world of Parcel. And then we'll wrap with a Q&A. So goal will be about 5 minutes on this, and then we'll try to wrap early so we have room for questions. All right. So me on my side, I actually have been here for about 2 years here at Sifted and came boots on the ground actually from our logistics intelligence team. So I would say I have a unique lens in that I've served many partners who are probably like you, various capacities, whether it's enterprise organization or smaller shippers, but really just helping them meet their parcel goals and something that I was very passionate about, serving, getting savings across the finish line. But did I come out of college looking for Parcel? Not necessarily, but since I've been in this, it's been a lot of fun. So if you have questions, after this about what we've done with partners, obviously happy to answer questions for you. But we'll let Will do his piece here.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hey, everyone. My name is Will Green. I'm a senior solutions engineer here with Sifted, and I've been with Sifted for the past year, and in that capacity, really been focused on helping shippers understand the best way to leverage our platform and identify solutions that we can provide and really optimizing their parcel spend and parcel operations. Outside of that, I've been in the supply chain technology space for the past 6 years, really helping shippers and 3PLs of all sizes understand how software solutions can help better optimize their supply chain operations. And the majority of that time has been spent in Parcel in particular. So looking forward to the conversation we'll be having today.
Perfect. All right. So depending on your lens in your organization, this is going to hit you and maybe even hurt you or stress you out in a different way. But really, with our partnerships, we like to make room for everyone to have a seat at the table because realistically, these responsibilities are probably shared or overlapping cross departmentally. So from finance and accounting, we're often hearing that it takes too long to pull together data, logging into multiple different platforms, mashing data manually after the fact, and really don't have a good litmus test of cost accounting, and wish there was generally a better way. From our operations folks, we're normally hearing, there's constant pressure to optimize, be efficient, trying to find scalable ways to view it, but there's just not an easy way to do it. UPS, FedEx, it's very limited what you can get out of there. More on the logistics side, rates keep going up. Can't do a lot about GRI, but there's obviously some things you can do. But how to keep things running, I mean, you just have to get things out the door no matter what. And you don't really have time to stop and fix all the time. So leveraging a partner like us can help alleviate some of that. But even the executives, right? It's data integrity issues can lead to bad decisions. If you make some assumptions based off your parcel data, you could end up upside down or worse, ending up with some paper discounts that never hit the bottom line. So at the end of the day, we're here to really help all of you, depending on which avenue you're coming from, really just make it a little bit more reasonable and then help you make informed decisions at the end of the day. It's a little bit of a overwhelming slide here, which kind of plays the part, but I'm sure that you guys have been asked some of these. Maybe you've asked some of these questions yourself before. You'll notice, right, some of these maybe you can do something about. Maybe some of them it's just a matter of getting the data together, mashing it together. But all in all, when you think about this and you think about these questions, I want you to think about Sifted, right? We can help you know these things. We can help you see them with filters, with automation, really with scalable data. We can help you be armed with this information to where you don't have to go scramble for an answer. Your executive comes there, says, what is our average cost per pack? Or how are we trending on time percentage? You'll have that in your back pocket. Not only will you look good to them, but you'll be even better prepared when you go to bat with the carriers to hopefully, right, make things a little bit better at the end of the day. So we know it's stressful. We know there's a lot going on, but there are options out there in the marketplace, and we're happy to do so. All right. So without further ado, Will, let's go ahead and get into the tech, start showing them around.
Yeah, sounds great, Nick. And thanks for teeing that up and providing all the background on kind of what's going on in the world today. But from here, we really want to dive into the platform itself. And as part of this demonstration, we're just going to focus on high level functionality and use cases that Sifted AI was designed to address. We'll touch on our notification and alert functionality. We'll get into how we can help shippers better understand their carrier relationships, particularly through their contracts. And we'll end up here with a new and improved version of our contract modeling tool that we are actually currently rolling out. So just a quick overview of what to expect to see today. If anything comes up that you have any questions or comments on, please feel free to ping that in the chat, and we'll be sure to get to that in the Q&A. But just some background on how the Sifted platform works, and what it was designed to do. It was really, at the end of the day, the vision that we had is to help shippers better understand what's going on in their parcel network so they can improve their operations and make sure that they're, being billed correctly, make sure that they're paying the right costs, and more than that, really understanding that they're actually operating and making the right decisions inside their network. We are really built on the thesis statement that not only is Parcel a complex and changing dynamic environment, but your business is complex, it's changing, it's dynamic. And so you really need a real-time software solution to help manage both and stay on top of that. So that's really what we're looking to do, is just make shippers' jobs easier, or really anyone who has a relationship with the parcel carriers out there today. So we do that, one, by pulling in and normalizing invoice information. So we're connected to all the major parcel carriers, your FedExes, UPS, USPSs, even like your OnTracks and DHLs down the line there. And we're pulling in invoice information. We're normalizing that to create a single cohesive data set to work off of. And then we're essentially coming in here and scoring that data and showing you how you compare to the market. And that's what this Sifted Score and benchmarks panel is. So we look across 6 key metrics to score how well you're doing from a carrier relationship standpoint, and then also from a business and operations standpoint. And that's what this spider graph and bar here is showing. It's essentially a health report or a credit score for your parcel network. So 3 of these data points here are going to be more driven by your carrier. So that's going to be your contract, and that's the biggest weighting factor on this scale of 0 to 1,000. The contract makes up 400 points of that, because that's really your foundation for your parcel spend. The next area here is your accessorial profile. Are you getting hit with additional handling charges? Are you getting hit with address corrections? Anything like that will help drive down or drive up your score depending on what type of charges you're getting hit with compared to other players in the market. And finally here, carrier. This is a carrier performance metric. It's, are your carriers billing you correctly? Are they performing on time? If you're paying for next day air, are they honoring that service? That all factors into this. The flip side of that, we're also looking at metrics that are more unique and more driven by your business and your operational decisions. Are you selecting the right service levels? Are you paying for 2-day air for a zone 2 shipment that could have gotten there via ground for a fraction of the cost? Is your distribution model set up in a way that serves you and your customer profile? If you're fulfilling a lot of orders to the East Coast, but you only have a single distribution point in the West Coast, that'll drive this down. Vice versa, if you're closer to where your customers are, your score will be higher. And finally, from an operational perspective, are you packaging your items correctly and efficiently? Are you paying your bills on time? Those types of things all roll into that. And it creates a cohesive benchmark to understand, where am I doing well and where are some opportunities for improvement. Really, at the end of the day, this is an executive dashboard. And as we go through the platform, you'll see we start off kind of high level, but we have all the data and metrics behind it so that as you drill down and want to understand in more detail, we're helping you easily identify where to look and then surfacing all the detail you could possibly want to understand what's going on. And finally, we're comparing you not just, as far as like a whole score overall, but to, similar players in the market today. We've got over $20 billion of parcel spend flowing into our network. We also have, strong understanding of the market and everything that's going on. And so we're creating this, what this dotted line is essentially a market benchmark. You can be on the outer bounds here and have a perfect score, but we recognize that, perfect is not always attainable. And so comparing you to how the market is doing today, these are more realistic goals. And we really want to help our customers keep their score somewhere above market and get as close to perfect as possible.
I think that's great, Will. The only thing I would put in there is just, as you folks contemplate what your score would be, and maybe there's some apprehension, maybe there's some excitement there. I would say, always look at it as glass half full. Finding things is always good. It's better to know, even if it is a necessary evil that you maybe have to work around long term, than to not know. And that's really what we're about here, is showing you what's available and then supporting you in making those decisions.
Yeah, 100%. It's just educating and helping to quantify as well. So you understand what's on the table and what could potentially be done differently and what the cost impact could be. Um, Also on this home page that we kind of land on when we first open the platform are these performance KPIs that we have down at the bottom. And this is actually a configurable view at the user level. So I can come in here and set up a dashboard that is specific to me as a user, and I can select the specific data points that I care about. So if I'm more driven in my role about like customer service, so I care about transit time and on time percentage, I can take off these cost metrics and select these more performance and transit driven ones, save those changes, and this dashboard will update for me. So I can really set this up to be any type of view that I would want, so I can quickly get the information that I need. And then all of these are, it's showing how I'm trending over time as well. I can hover over a select month to understand what I was doing at any point in time. I can also click into any one of these to get the data behind that. So this will drive into our profile dashboards and it'll pull up all the visualizations and metrics that are driving those higher level KPIs we were just looking at. All right, but before I get into all of the, the data and the way we can slice and dice this and help you report on your key metrics, I do want to call attention to a new feature that we've rolled out with the launch of the SiftedAI platform, which is our recommendations engine. So we've essentially trained the platform to identify a dozen or so currently, and we're adding more all the time, specific instances of, optimization opportunities or overspend, anything that could be causing a negative cost impact on your parcel network, or could be a potential area to optimize or improve your profitability or your performance. So things like, are you packaging your items the correct way? Sifted can identify box sizes that are driving high build weight or driving high additional handling or oversized charges, help you understand which specific boxes are driving that. Late payment fees, it's a very common charge that we see that can be hard to identify directly inside the carrier billing files, but we can help shippers make sense of that, see what those fees look like. You can click into any one of these recommendations. It'll give you a line on how to address the issue, and then it'll load all the data behind it as well. So you can see, for late payment fees specifically, it's saying, hey, here's the accounts and the invoices that are being billed late payment fees on and the amounts. Make sure to pay these as fast as possible before they continue to stack up. And then from a user level, I can actually come in here and aside from seeing the details, I can mark these as done if, Sifted has identified the problem and I have addressed it. So I can say this is done, it'll take that off. Or I can just say, hey, this is an issue that we know that's going on. It's not something I can address currently, but I don't want to continue to have a notification on it. So I can mark that as not applicable. And in addition to surfacing it here in the platform, the really great thing about these recommendations is how they're tied to our notification engine. So I can come up here and I can create a profile where I opt in to any of these notifications that I want. And if I don't want to receive them in the app, I would rather have an email alert sent to me. Then the system will notify you, say, hey, you've got $300 in late payment fees on your last invoice, and send out an email to your inbox. You don't have to come in and check the platform on a daily or weekly basis or anything like that, because we really recognize that most users today have enough tools and platforms that they have to log into and check, and we're really all about adding efficiency to workflows, not creating more work and more dashboards that someone has to feel like they have to log into just to feel like they're safe and everything's doing okay.
Yeah, those are some great features there. I think the biggest thing that we're trying to do here that I probably could have done a better job highlighting is that we're trying to show you every single opportunity. We want you to have 100% opportunity to capture savings. So even if it is not applicable, we're going to call attention to that until you tell us otherwise. And those notifications, those alerts, they go a long way because we know you're busy. So set it and forget it is a real thing. And proud to be able to offer that. That's a really cool feature.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a great point to bring up, Nick, because while we like to say, hey, look at all this money that you could potentially save, at the end of the day, if you see a high number here, that's a lot of money that's being overspent. And so our goal here at Sifted is really to help every organization we work with get to $0 or as close to $0 in potential savings as possible, and not just reach that state, but maintain it, because it's not a one-time event of getting healthy. You can't just, do one cleanup project and then expect everything to stay good. You have to keep going and checking things in, making sure everything's working. And at the end of the day, our platform is designed to help users do that efficiently. But outside of, servicing recommendations and kind of giving these more high-level views, we also have a lot of great visualizations and data points around just helping shippers understand what's going on in their network today. That's why a major value add of what we offer is just ingesting all of that data. We automate that process and then we normalize it to give one cohesive data set to work off of. But then in addition to that, we've created all of these visualizations that are right out of the box that users can come into, log into the platform, and quickly understand what's going on with their shipping profile and what's going on with their parcel network, not just current state, but understand how that's trending as well. Is my, cost trending up while my volume is trending down, driving a higher cost per package? Let's look into that. Am I getting hit with a lot of different surcharges, different accessorial fees? We've got reports that can help you dig into that, like specifically on accessorials. That's a very common one that is can be a very confusing topic if you're pulling in from carrier invoices. So we do a lot of work on our side, again, to normalize all of these different charges into single categories here and help you understand, what are your top offenders? Are you paying, in this case, I may be paying a lot of fuel, residential delivery, and delivery area surcharges because I'm a B2C shipper. I ship to a lot of residences, and those are driving my costs up. But this can really help me understand, specifically how much of my spend is being driven by these surcharges. And it's other ones in here, address corrections, late payment fees. I can scroll in, quickly identify ones that potentially are avoidable. I could mitigate on my side through operational changes. Other ones I may need to negotiate down and know to target these things with my carrier in our contract negotiations.
Yeah. Yeah, this one can't be understated or undersold. I think once you structure all that invoice data and finally get to see how much you're spending on these accessorials, it can be jaw dropping. I mean, sometimes you're finding chargebacks from other folks shipping on your account that didn't even know was happening, right? That you need to bill them back for. Maybe it was a breakdown in the routing guides or something like that. But late fees, address corrections. I mean, I was just talking to a partner yesterday about address corrections, and they were telling me how they were excited about getting a discount on it and forgetting that they could actually fix it. So it's one of those things of, as we're going through here with, our logistics intelligence team and working with you on here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, really need to push to fix what you can and discount what you can't. So when we hear things like you're going to get a discount on address corrections, that's great, but what if we fixed it and got a discount on something else, right? So order of magnitude, right? We're always going to, play your hand and try to maximize the savings for you. But at the end of the day, accessorials are a place where 30%, 40% of your fees are just going to keep going. So a lot of low hanging fruit that we'll usually find there.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nick. And I think really want to emphasize as well, we won't just give you the summary data here as well. This in our, in our mind, this is your data as a user. So everything that we power, like all these tables and charts at the top with, as I scroll down, I can get more granular all the way down to the charge level. And this view is, pretty common across the entire platform. I've got my summaries at the top. I can scroll down for more detail until finally I get down to the charge level here. And I think what really makes this even more usable is not just the ability. Obviously, we can come in here and export this to Excel or CSV if I want to pull this into another platform. We're more than happy to send you a more automated push of data. But I think what really makes this extremely usable is the alert functionality that we're able to set up. So if I want to come in here and create specific notifications to me, Sifted has several of those notifications built out of the box, but these custom alerts is where I'm really able to tailor it to specific use cases and specific outputs. So this is where I can come in, I can set up a system in place for Sifted to say, hey, on a weekly basis, I want you to check and let me know if I'm getting hit with a specific surcharge, for instance. Maybe I'm trying to get my additional handling charges under control. So I just want a weekly report of every single tracking number that is getting hit with additional handling surcharge. I don't want to have to come into the platform and filter all that out and export it and go through that on a regular basis. I just want my data set. And so what this can do is I can just set up my condition here. I can set my frequency. I can choose whatever output format I want. If I just kind of want a summary, like that chart, the PDF would be fine. But if I'm looking for line item level or charge level, an Excel or CSV is going to be preferable. So I can choose my format. And then down here, the customize control values box, this really lets me just kind of slice and segment my data. So if I want to add in a specific, I only want to look at a specific carrier. I only want a specific account number included in this data set. I can just choose a specific control value here and it'll segment my data even further. Once I create this alert, then the system knows to go and check at the time that I set up and send me my report on an automated basis. Again, it's about keeping you able to interact with your data in the format that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of opportunity with this one in particular, and an example from a current partner of ours as well. They actually noticed they're almost a solely domestic shipper, and so we were in Spin Trend looking at some of their overall service types, caught some international charges, some brand new ones, and they looked into it. Ended up being some fraudulent activity that ended up involving some government agencies reviewing. Needless to say, it was great that we caught that early, and so now they've set an alert to where if anyone ships international, they're notified of that, and so they can get ahead of that. So a good way to kind of set things on autopilot from, hey, if these behaviors shouldn't be happening, also if behaviors should be happening, you could do that. Or if you just want push reports, you have, a direct report or someone that you need to send a report to, you can have that pushed to you. And again, just put it on autopilot to where you don't have to be constantly in here digging through data, can actually use the data to work smarter.
Yeah, that's a great example, great story there. I think really, we've got dozens, if not hundreds of stories like that of how, we've helped shippers, just make more informed decisions at the end of the day. And we could probably spend the next hour or so just talking about different ways we can, showcase this data, different reports that we have in here, or ability to come in here and filter. But I'm going to move on now and just kind of start focusing on some things we do around carrier management and helping shippers understand their contract on what's going on with that, because that's another big piece of it. So we really have, I think, two main categories inside of this page that I want to touch on is one, contract compliance. This is essentially where Sifted will digitize your contract information, and then we will do a line item re-rate on everything that comes in through our system, and we'll compare that to what the carrier billed, and we'll showcase where the carrier is overbilling you and why that's happening. So if they're applying an incorrect discount, if they're not using the right minimum, if they're not using the correct dim divisor, pretty much anything that could be causing them to misbill you, we will identify that. And even down to the package level, we'll showcase what the impact is to your cost that's being driven by that. And this is really just, it's another check, it's another insurance policy. We don't want the carriers to be overcharging you, obviously, but it's really easy for this stuff to add up. Even 0.5% to 1% of billing errors on, tens of millions of dollars of spend can, be huge, huge cost increases.
Yeah, this is another one where I think that alert function is a huge, huge benefit to know, hey, if it's over $100, I want to know about it. Maybe if it's under $10, you're not as worried, but knowing that it happens sooner rather than later to where, as you look at that graph over time, right, you can avoid that massive spike in October where, it's thousands and thousands of dollars that you were out.
Yeah, 100%. And on top of that, we'll also help you understand what's going on with your contract in terms of expiration dates, tiers, things like that. Because, some pretty common things inside of contracts. One are spend tiers, where you need to make sure you're spending X amount of dollars in gross spend in order to capture your discounts. So we'll also track that as well. We'll track your spend. We'll go in here and apply the same formulas your carriers apply to understand where you sit in your tier. And then back to the notifications. If it looks like you're about to drop a tier and lose your UPS discounts, we'll send out an alert so that you know what's going on. So you don't have any unexpected changes and increases in cost because, your package volume dipped a little bit below you thought it was going to for the week. And this is really beneficial for pretty much any shipper, but especially shippers who dual source or multi-threaded with carriers, and you're always trying to thread that needle of moving volume from one carrier to another without threatening those discounts you work so hard to negotiate for. Additionally, these contracts, you may negotiate a great contract, but they can have even inside of a 3-year contract, there can be 1 year or 2-year terms for specific discounts and surcharges and things like that. So we'll track that as well. We'll showcase inside the platform, not just when your contract is set to expire, but by term, when are each of these set to expire as well. So if your dim divisor is going to be going up after the first year of the contract, we don't want you to forget about that. We can send out an alert about what's happening there. And finally, the last thing around contracts I want to touch on and kind of to wrap things up here, put a ribbon on everything, is our ability to come in here and use our new contract modeling tool to really, model out completely new scenarios. We have several optimization and modeling tools inside of our platform, but I want to specifically touch on what we can do with contract modeling just because this is a newer revamped version. And so essentially what I'm able to do as a user, I can come to this uploads document section. I can upload my contract and any proposals or addendums that the carriers have been, sending to me. So if I'm going through an RFP, I can add up my current contract and then my proposals from, FedEx and UPS, and then I can come into this platform and start modeling that out. So for instance, if I'm a UPS shipper, I can come in here, select a data set inside of Sifted to create a model off of. I can pull in my current contract with UPS. I can name this, select which tier I fall under, and then I can say, hey, I'm surfacing a RFP or proposal from UPS, but I'm also considering bringing FedEx into the mix. I want to take in both of these proposals and see how they compare. That's exactly what this tool is built to do. So I just select my new proposals, I select which spend tier I'm projected to fall into, and then I'd run my model. And once I open that up, it's going to do essentially a re-rate across all of my volume. It's going to say, hey, these are the packages that we're including in our data set. Here's your current charge under your current agreement. And then it's going to say, what am I spending under my new UPS agreement? And what am I spending under my new FedEx agreement? Takes a minute to load here because it's actually going to be breaking this down by service category, by weight band, by zone. So you can see we're not just looking at this from one perspective. We're breaking this out, across express, your ground services, even like things like min reductions and surcharges. I can quickly see, for instance, that UPS is offering a lot better discounts on express and ground services. Their base rates are a lot better than what FedEx is offering. But I can scroll down and say, hey, FedEx is doing a lot better for me on my accessorials. So I can click into these and I can actually see the details of, what am I spending on each one currently? What's my discount offered from each one? What's my savings off of current based off of these discounts? So really be able to get deep into the weeds of understanding not just, what am I expected to, either save or see as a cost increase based off these proposals, but what's driving that change in cost. And we've also added in this ability to come in here and model out specific things as well. So if I want to say, hey, what would a 55 or 60% discount do? I can enter that in this box. It will recalculate everything and showcase my savings off my new targets if I want to build a new model. And as we continue to refine this tool, we're targeting to build out benchmarks included in this as well. So you not just see what the carriers are offering, but you can also have targets to go after based off of market intelligence data.
Yeah, I love this tool personally and selfishly. As I was negotiating for some of our partners, I wish we had the tool as built out as we have it now. Because really, if you know a lot about Parcel, you've been doing contracts for a while, you can really do a knock-up job on an analysis here and really make sure, to Will's point, that it flushes out that whatever paper discounts they're throwing around or saying, yeah, you're going to get a 90% discount on air or ground or whatever, but your minimum reduction doesn't actually take you down low enough to where you can realize it. So being able to really put the proof out there down to the cent and down to the pennies can go a long way, but it's also far less expensive, right, as you can imagine, than asking our team to do a full-on negotiation. So we tend to see this being a great fit for folks who are happy to, pull up their bootstraps, get into the data, and really they know what they're doing, and really cool tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the extra context there. I think we're right at time, so I'm going to bring it back over to wrap things up. And we have a few minutes slated for a Q&A. So if there's any questions in the chat or if anyone wants to pop in anything that's come to mind, please feel free.
So we did get one. I went ahead and answered it already, so I'll just read it while the rest of the group maybe enters theirs. But anonymous attendee, so whomever you are, feel free to reach out personally. But they pass shipping on to their customers, so they pay X at checkout, and they are wanting to basically make sure that what the customer paid matches what they actually were billed by the carrier. So since we don't have access to your pre-shipment data and your customer data, really we're looking at the invoice data, which would be post-shipment. We wouldn't be able to match those on our own, but absolutely we have full PLD export reporting that you would be able to use, either tracking numbers or reference fields, to be able to kind of match those up. If you are, we do have some partners who will put, reference fields that are customer specific in, whether it's a purchase order, order number, you name it, but tracking numbers would be probably the best bet otherwise. So like I said in there too, happy to discuss further, especially if that's something you guys are spending a lot of time on.
Yeah, and I'll just add some additional context to that. That's absolutely a use case we help some of our customers with. And Nick just kind of very clearly articulated ways we help out with that. But I will say there are some customers who do choose to push us additional layers of data as well. Because as he said, we're pulling invoice information from the carrier. So what we really need to understand is, what are you quoting your customer? What is your customer paying? We don't necessarily have visibility to that unless you can provide it to us. But if it'd be easier for you to push us a data set and us build in some custom reports based off of that, we're more than happy to address it in that format as well. So we can really meet you really whatever makes the most sense for you, whether us just giving you the data you need or us taking in everything and really fleshing out reports on our side that can live inside of our system.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, everybody. Hope you have a great day, great weekend, and hope to talk to you soon.